Hey guys, Mike here. So another interesting day in the market, and it definitely is one where the market makers won. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. I referenced this yesterday for those who watched that video, and it played out just like we thought it would. Because remember, today is weekly options expiration. We also had some key data come out on us, the workers, and also consumers, and inflation data and stuff. And so the market just kind of basically ignored that and pushed it to the side for a certain reason. And so we're getting to the charts. But one thing I want to start off with, if you are in First Republic stock, you might not want to look at that because I don't know where this is going to go. But First Republic dropped 43% during business hours, but then some news came out after hours. I'm going to show it to you. And it dropped another 48% in after hours. And right after the bell, basically it come out, and I don't know if this is going to be true or not, but it says U.S. regulators are set to basically take control of this bank right here. Again, I mean, it's been in trouble. Won't be surprised. They're trying to get a deal worked out to make some other banks even bigger as usual. Same way they did the other two that went under. And so I don't think anybody wants anything to do with this thing. So we'll see how that works out. The other thing we had yesterday which was interesting, Amazon reports earnings, right? And this is what they came out with, and they beat top and bottom line. And, operating margins was higher than expected and all this good stuff. But let's see what happens with a good earnings call and a bad earnings call, right? Because Amazon obviously pumped, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, look, it's going to the moon!" Right? It's way up as soon as the earnings came out, almost 10% up, right? And then I put here in our Discord, I said, "Look at this right here. Look at what happens to the stock after its earnings call or during the earnings call," which the CFO was speaking before the CEO, and that's usually a red flag. And so that right there happened. And then you got this right here. I'm not in this stock, so let me know if you are, and tell us some details about this because I don't get it. Like Intel reports its largest quarterly loss in the company's history. This is not some young company, right? But then, guess what? Hey, on the earnings call, boom, spike this puppy way on up there, right? So the only thing I know about it, Mason, in the Discord, is they got a lot of government backing or whatever, contracts, a lot of the revenue comes from that. So maybe that's what it is, trying to be a turnaround story or something. But it's just amazing to watch this stock go up when it reports its worst earnings ever. And so again, let me just think about that in the comments. I thought it was just kind of hilarious in a way too. And Amazon was actually red for the day, even on this rally. Now, we did get something the Fed really likes to talk about and pay attention to. So you got U.S. personal consumption expenditures core price index year over year, and then just regular U.S. personal consumption expenditures year over year. And you can see the big difference, right? So core, obviously, as you can tell, it does not go down very fast, right? It is much more sticky. It did decrease again, which is good, right? And so, but you can see regular PCE just absolutely keeps falling off a cliff, which is a good thing for us, right? But core is a whole different thing. That's why I say it's a lot more sticky. And so this is the reason why they have the Fed funds rate now above this. And so, and when people see, let's cut, it's like, all right, you go on ahead. And that just kind of tells me that people don't learn from history, right? So again, we'll see what they do. But the other reason is, what do you see from the Bureau of Labor Statistics here about the cost of civilian workers? Well, it spiked back up, right? And wages actually have been increasing. And so this right here is what the Fed keeps talking about and why they want to get a lot of people unemployed. So these businesses actually have more people to choose from, which means they don't have to offer as high a rate of pay, right? Because that does have something to do and contribute to inflation. And before we continue, guys, if you're getting anything out of this, please hit that like and subscribe button. Think about sharing the video with your friends and family. And if you're new here and you like the content, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Now, of course, you know my thoughts on this, and what really contributes a lot to inflation is corporate greed, right? How they keep on these earnings calls saying we're going to keep raising prices because we keep paying it, right? Even though it's above what they're actually, it's costing them now. And so, but again, we don't want to worry about that part. We don't worry about just getting people unemployed so we can lower down the wages normal people are making every day. I love how that system works, right? But nobody talks about bringing down, God forbid, CEO pay and executive pay, which is like 2,000 times what a normal worker costs now. And so, but I won't go on a tangent because I can go on for an hour about that. Now, here's what we got. We just finished April out, right? So, again, sometimes you get a pump at the end of the month. Again, what happened? Here we go. Year to date, you can see it. Consumer services, information technology, IT, consumer discretionary, absolutely killing it for the year. Month over month, you got consumer services. And then we go over here, you can see healthcare, utility. These are the ones I'm watching for because these are definitely more defensive plays. and they had a good month of April, right, versus the other ones. Financials trying to make a comeback, especially with all the stuff going on with the banks and everything, but they're working their way up. Consumer staples, nice little month of April for them. And then you look at, obviously, who's the best performers month to date. Year to date, it's no doubt it's the NASDAQ, right? But look at month to date. I think really it says 0, but I thought when I looked at it, it was like, I don't know, 0.5 or something. Nothing really. And then when you look at this right here, you obviously got Russell 1000 growth eked out a little bit of positivity. S&P 500 eked out a little bit of positivity. Russell 2000 was an absolute mess this month. Small caps got absolutely nuked because why? Most likely because they're the ones that do the worst in this environment, man, with these high interest rates and stuff, right? Now, going into the SPY, obviously, big move up of the last couple of days, as you can see, and broke above that trend line, which has been well respected. Now, what else did it also do? Leaving behind gaps, right? You got this gap still hadn't been filled. You got this gap below. It did fill a smaller gap down there. And so I'm going to extend this out real quick because I don't think it's going to be gap filled for a while. You can see RSI starting to approach overbought territory on the hourly. MACD looks like it was roll over on the more short-term time frames. You look on the daily, though, RSI still has room to run. MACD is trying to flip back up. And what else do you have? You have a gap right above it. It's about, I think it's 1.5% to 2% above this right here. And so it would have to break the February highs, which we talked about, to actually do this, but it's right there at the February highs. I mean, imagine that. I can't believe going into FOMC next week, we're just sitting there with what I always tell you, it's a soap opera, right? A cliffhanger. And so now we got this cliffhanger that will we break the February highs and put this gap right here in play, and then right above that is what? It's going to end up being the August highs, right? And this is what I was talking about when I said it worked out perfectly for market makers. Brilliant job. I showed you this yesterday, but you can see right here, a lot of puts at 410 and below, 417, a lot of calls, weekly expiration. So what they do, they kept us right down that valley right there, and all that's worthless. 417s. I mean, so all these options gone, and they're like, yay, we got to keep our money. So great job by them. And the VIX, man, the VIX, boy, volatility does not exist on the SPY, right? It closed at its lowest point since we've seen going back to November of 2021. So, you know, are we going to get down? I mean, the lowest we got in 2021, I believe, was 14 and some change. So we'll see. I mean, don't say we're not going to do it, because if I asked somebody 3 days ago, we're going to close at 15, they probably would have said no. Now, the Qs, again, big move up. This actually led the way for the last couple of days. And you can see, if you look on the hourly here, you can see a lot of gaps. I mean, boom, boom, 3 in a row right there. And so I always say, don't leave behind a lot of gaps, because 90% of them fill. So we're going to have to see on that. But when we go up to a daily time frame, you can see what else? Just like the SPY, got a gap right above it. It's 1.3%, I believe, right there in play. That'll put us at the August highs already. And so, you know, are we going to break them? Put in the comments what you think. And it ain't going to take much to break them, because we're almost right there anyway. And so that's going to be interesting to see next week. It all depends on FOMC, maybe. We'll have to see. Now, the Qs, another way to look at this right here, basically, is it is in this rising wedge right here with those 3 big gaps below it. And, of course, we're coming to FOMC, so we get to move up next couple of days, bounce off that, start coming back down, work our way up, and then go for a fall or not. Again, it's a soap opera, big cliffhanger next week, which I'll go into Sunday's video. Now, good news was this. The QQEW, which I told you about the other day, believe it or not, it was actually higher than the actual NASDAQ 100s, which means a lot of other stocks participated in this move. And that's important, because if you look at the NASDAQ 100, here's stocks above the 200-day moving average, it's around 68%. When you look at the NASDAQ composite as a whole, which has a whole lot more stocks on it, you're only sitting around 43% of stocks above the 200-day moving average. That's off the 75% high we had after that rally from October going into February, right? And so it is important, if you're going to say this is a market rally and we bottomed in October, like, you have to have more participation, not just 7, 8 stocks, which, by the way, because of these big rallies in Microsoft and Apple, they make up even more now in the S&P and the NASDAQ, more than they ever have. I think it's 14% by themselves, almost 15% just in the S&P 500 alone now. And that leads me into the final chart, which is Tesla. And you can see we got oversold on the daily. It always bounces. It's almost like 100% guaranteed. MACD looks like it wants to roll up. 5-day moving average is trying to curl back up and start heading for that gap, which is right above it. And so we'll see if we can keep some momentum on this one. And that leads me into something that Steve had put in the comments, and he said, what do you think about Tesla strategies, right? And again, I'm coming from a neutral perspective on this. And understand the way I look at Tesla is one of the most unique companies out there, unique stocks to own. Because when you think about Tesla, if you close your eyes and you think about it, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For me, it's Elon Musk. Like, I think Elon Musk is Tesla, right? And I don't think it's a coincidence that, when he got in the Twitter mess and buying Twitter and trying to do what he wanted to do there, and obviously SpaceX he already has, and he's building a Hyperloop, and he's going to start an AI company. I don't think when his basically concentration got taken off of Tesla that it started to go down pretty much. You can look at a timeline and when he started talking about it, when he actually finished the purchase and everything, and then see what's happening to the stock and everything this whole time. And let's be real about it. I mean, he's a mad scientist. He loves to solve problems. He sees a problem, he wants to think about it and solve it, right? Which one is cooler right now? Building the largest rocket we've ever basically launched, or building an EV car, right? And he's kind of already done what he wanted to do with Tesla, right? He talked about that years ago, and look what he's built it up into. And now you got SpaceX, and look, guys, it's a lot cooler to build rockets, right? And then he's got this AI company he wants to start up, and he wants to do that Hyperloop, and then I don't know how many other companies has he got. I don't even know. But that's I think one of the problems you have with Tesla, and people are trying to figure out, like, is he in this? Can Tesla actually do well without him being really focused on it? That's what you got to find out. The other thing is, talking about what he was talking about, the strategies. Obviously, Elon Musk is like, hey, I think there's going to be a slowdown in the economy. I got to start cutting prices. I got to start gaining market share. We're going to change strategies now, which is kind of smart, because I was kind of waiting on this moment. I used to work for a company, real quick story, that, they used to drive me nuts, because they would say, oh, our product is so much better that we can charge more money and people will wait for it and all this other crazy mess. And I said, yeah, that works well until your competition starts to catch up to you. But you got to understand, people's time, especially nowadays, is more precious than ever. So they're not going to sit there and wait when there's another product that actually is cheaper, lower cost, and actually sits there and looks cooler, believe it or not. I hope they start designing some really cool cars. But, people like that. And the other thing is convenience. Like, a lot of people don't believe this, but the other car companies have the advantage that they run commercials, and the fact that they have a dealership on every block where people can see the vehicles they're trying to sell. And even if they're going to get a gas guzzler, they can say, hey, why don't you check out this car? It has to be an EV or a hybrid or whatever it is, and they're not going to drive 80 miles. Some states you can't even buy it. They got to go across state lines to pick the car up. That kind of scares people, because, like, where am I going to get the car repaired at if it does need repairing? And there's so many uncertainties to it. So to be able to go into a dealership and get a lot of answers in person, and if you live in a very populated city in the country, most likely you'll see a Tesla showroom or whatever, but a lot of places don't have them. And so, that's just something that, we'll see what they do about that and see what they think about it. I can't wait to see how their truck does. That's what I really want to see, because that's when I told you, if people are brand loyal, it's trucks. You're a Ford or GM guy or whatever, but and I'm looking at their truck and I'm going, well, I don't see it being used for construction or farming or anything like that. So, and it's not going to be a cheap truck. So I don't know. It's just something we're going to find out. The other big question for me is China, right? Can they maintain their dominance in China? Because there's a lot of competition flowing in. But the question I've always had is, will the Chinese government allow them to maintain their dominance over their local companies, right? And so that's another big question, because that's the biggest market, right? So, you got to think about that and stuff. And so, there's just a lot of things that got to work their way through the system. Will Elon's plan as far as cutting prices and eating up the margins, will that be able to gain market share? Will they eventually be able to cut through all the red tape and get robo-taxis and all that stuff? If you have and I assume by robo-taxis, what I'm talking about, for those who don't know, is literally people who own Teslas, while you sleep at night or while you want to pick a time to run your car out, they'll just program it, run it out, pick people up and run them around, right? Are you comfortable doing that? That's a big question, right? And that can be more regulatory hurdles to go through. So, we'll have to see and stuff. That's the big thing. And the biggest thing is, obviously he's not spending a ton of time at Tesla right now, but, what would have happened? I'm just curious what you think about this. What would have happened if he said, you know what, I'm super busy. I'm going to name so-and-so as the CEO of Tesla. I mean, what would happen to the company and what would happen to the stock? I'm just curious, right? And now that I answer your question is Tesla Elon Musk, right? And so that's a big question too. So, but and it's not about us. We're going to dip by. I mean, people are going to dip by the heck out of it. It's about what big money wants to do as far as like how comfortable do they feel, at what price do they feel comfortable at, and stuff like that. So that's really the big thing. So just a thought, just creating a conversation. Let me know what you think down in the comments. So Steve, if you're listening, let me know what you think as well on that and stuff. So a lot of the stuff we aren't going to know, right? And especially if Elon Musk is right about the economy slowing down, which he keeps talking about. Could be in for some rough times. So we'll have to see. It's the most anticipated recession ever, right? And usually when things are anticipated, they don't happen, but we'll have to find out. So anyway, hope you got something out of it tomorrow or Sunday, excuse me. I'll come out with a video setting this up for the week because it's going to be a big week next week with FOMC. Woo! That's where the cliffhanger and Apple, right? Earnings. And so we'll see how that goes. So hit the like and subscribe button if you got anything out of this. I really appreciate it. Think about sharing the video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.